Hello, friends. Welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to brand new video. We're going to be diving into Mikel Arteta's press conference. It's quite an exciting one because he was asked about Mikhail MUDRYK, how close the deal is. And he said, at the moment, we're trying whatever we can to make sure that we get the signings that we want. He also talked about Gabriel Jesus' injury, the North London derby, and a couple of other things. We're going to be diving into that press conference, trying to understand the key points, and also, I think, majorly trying to see, is Arsenal activists trying to sign someone else apart from Mikhail MUDRYK? The deal is closed. We might actually get that one done by Sunday or by Monday. I'll be letting you know whatever happens. Hit the like button for me. Let's get this video to 600 likes. Subscribe to the podcast as well. What do you think about the North London derby? I think we don't have so many injury problems apart from Gabriel Jesus and Nelson. The rest of the squad should be okay, apart from Mikhail MUDRYK as well, who has not actually been cleared to play for us now yet. So we're going to be diving into Mikel's press conference. Let's see what he's been talking about. First and foremost, he was asked about the size of Sunday's game, and he said, I just love it, that's the reason as to why we're here to play this kind of games. It's one of the biggest games for the season for us. We know how much it means for us right now and how much it means for our people as well. We have to focus on playing well and doing what we have to do to win this game. Look, I think he's right here, but there's so many big games at this point. I'm not even sure. I'm the genius at, earmarking and benchmarking which games are biggest, but this season I can't actually tell which games are actually the biggest. You look at Spurs, you look at Manchester United at home, you look at the two Manchester City games, then the Liverpool game that we have to play, the Chelsea game. Probably when we play them, they would be a little bit better than they are now. The Newcastle second leg game. So there's so many big games, but the Spurs game traditionally, in a cultural context, actually means a lot. But then it's a game that I feel like you've got to win if you're going to win the league. These are games you win in that season. Spurs home and away, maybe Man United at home, then you lose away, then you beat Chelsea home and away, maybe you grab points against Manchester City, maybe home and away, maybe a point on each leg, maybe. Just maybe. So it's a big game for me. I think Arsenal need to focus really on making sure that we do not fall apart. It's a North London derby. It's going to have a lot of atmosphere and a lot of tension. I think it's a game that is defined by not by how well a club is playing at the moment, but how prepared are you, and how much value are you adding, and how much context are you adding to the game. So Mikel says it's a big game, and it's one of the biggest games we have this season. And if he feels better equipped for the derby than he did last May, he says that was the result, the performance, the context of actually what happened in that game. There were a lot of things to learn from, a lot of things to take from it, and we haven't won there in a very long time, and that's the challenge we have to focus on ahead of us on Sunday. So I think there is a difference between when we last went there and where we are now. We are on top of the table, obviously. Then, last May, we were actually trying to beat Spurs to a top 4 spot, and Spurs beat us. This campaign, it looks unlikely that Spurs will be in the same conversation with Arsenal on where we will finish this campaign. Whether it is top 4, whether it's top 3 or top 2, or even winning the league, Spurs are not in that conversation right about now. But the question here, guys, is going away to Spurs, it literally means a new season. It means a different kind of game in such a campaign. Can we prove everyone wrong by going out there, make it look simple, make it look easy, just like we did at the Emirates Stadium? When they come at the Emirates, they just make it so easy for us. It's a high-scoring game always, 3-1, 4-2, 4-1. But when we go at the White Hart Lane, that is where things actually turn. So can we? Mikel says, we did learn a couple of things from that game, and we're trying to execute them in this one as well. On how much better the side is now, says we are in a different place. We have to show that playing the way we want to play. On the recent charges from the FA, says I prefer not to comment. Look, I want to have a comment here, guys, because I've looked at the FA penalizing Arsenal. I've not seen a club penalized this much as Arsenal. And I'm quite thinking, is it something personal? Is it becoming personal? We were penalized against Manchester City. That was January 2020. Then against in the Newcastle game, we were penalized. In the Oxford game, we were penalized. I think in the Nottingham Forest game as well, the FA penalized Arsenal as well. I'm kind of thinking this is becoming a little bit personal. But look, like Mikhail said, let's not comment about that. Let's just move on, focus on the football, and then the rest will actually lay ahead. On having a conversation with the players about their conduct, because there's anything that we can do to improve, we will always have a conversation with our players, with the staff, and with the club as well to see what we can do and what we have to change in the game. Now, I believe we have we've had a few incidences that need talking about. Gabriel Magalhaes, for example, Leeds United, that was uncalled for. You need to behave in a good way. Like, you need to behave in a mature way. You could have given away a penalty, right? Then maybe again Gabriel Magalhaes in the Manchester City game 2020. That's a big game. You need to keep your you need to keep your head. You need to keep your calm, because when you actually give your emotions way, a team like Manchester City is gonna tear you apart, right? So maybe a few instances, but I don't think we have disciplinary issues or big disciplinary issues anymore like we used to have, in this side. Mikel on rumors linking Arsenal with Mikhail MUDRYK. Interesting. It says we cannot talk about any other players. There is some interest in things we would like to do because we are a bit short in certain areas with the injuries that we've actually picked up. We are trying as a club. We are determined to improve the team in every window, and that's what we are trying to do, right? So he says he doesn't want to talk about other players currently, of course, just like any manager would say. But he says at the moment, we have interest in the things we are trying to do. We are trying to improve the squad. We are short, and we're trying to bring in some players because we have picked up some injuries as well. And I think the big question here, guys, is you've got to ask him, where are the injuries? It's on that forward line, Reece Nelson and Gabriel Jesus. So the Mikhail MUDRYK deal, if you've not watched my first video today, please do watch it. I've just given a whole level of context on what's happening. I'm thinking of doing and everything you need to understand about the deal, but then I kind of feel like it would be a little bit too early, so I'll delay it a little bit, like for a few hours, just for Fabrizio Romano to come out and confirm that the bid has been accepted. Accepted. But Mikhail says we are trying to do a few things here and there on in terms of signing players. So be patient. We will let you know when something actually comes up, okay? On missing out on MUDRYK's social posts, it says McGonagall will actually tell you how much I am with how it will tell you how good I am with the phone. I don't think he's missing those posts actually. I think Mikel has spoken to Mikhail MUDRYK directly. He's told him what he wants. He's told him how he wants to use him, and he's convinced the player to an extent that Mikhail MUDRYK feels he needs to be at Arsenal tomorrow. He needs to be at Arsenal the next day, right? So I don't think Mikel is missing out on MUDRYK's posts. I think he's actually monitoring very well. I think he knows if you want to get a player, a young player, it's the psychology, it's the emotions, and he's good at that. And I think he's actually done that with very, very well with a couple of players that we have signed so far, right? During his tenure. On Gabriel Jesus' injury, Mikel says he is progressing, and I want to get this right. He says he's progressing well. He's working really, really hard. He's in the right place in his recovery regarding the time that we set for him, but he's still a bit far away to be back. Yesterday, I did a story on this piece, and I said it's gonna be 5 weeks. That's what he put on Instagram. On his Instagram, it's gonna be 5 weeks. Now, although we know that 5 weeks is a long time, personally, with all these games coming up, with transfers, I kind of feel like that's a very, very short period of time. We are 2 weeks away from the conclude January, and around 3 weeks until his comeback. So I think it's not very, very far away. And the fact that Mikel now says he's working out, he's progressing. There is that kind of feeling that he will be back as soon as possible. Let's wait and see. Let's really, really wait and see, because I feel Arsenal miss him a lot. And I was watching Joao Felix play yesterday. Apart from the red card, I think he really played well. I think it was giving Chelsea that kind of run that they've been missing a lot of the time. Players like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang don't do that versatility, that agility up front. And I think Gabriel Jesus, that is exactly what he gives Arsenal. And we don't have that at the moment. On when he will be back, because says I would like to see him very, very quickly, but I don't think that's going to happen. We are going to have to be patient with that one. With every surgery, there are always a lot of things that you have to be cautious with, especially in the first few weeks. It's going to push everybody there to be on the pitch really, really, really soon. But we have to be cautious as well. So Mikel says he would love to see him come back quicker. But he doesn't see that happen. I mean, that's kind of very, very honest. And at times I just like it when he's honest, because at times, when he decides to do his kind of propaganda and that kind of talk, it bores me. On Emil Smith-Rowe's return, he says it's great to have him back. He felt very well, very good. They were his first minutes after 4 months. He's worked so hard to be in the position he is today. Now we need him. Now we need to give him minutes, and we need to give him to get him back in the team, because he's a very, very important player for us. When Emil came on, I kind of felt like he's still, not yet fit. I don't know whether it is much fitness that is actually lacking, or he still has that, or that whole kind of, I don't want to go back into an injury, so I'm gonna play it slow. I'm gonna play it safe, and I'm going to take it really, really slow. But I mean, it's gonna be kind of a selection dilemma between Emil Smith-Rowe and Fabio Vieira, who comes off the bench first, who comes on when, and who comes on where. Because Mikhailo Mudryk coming in means you have Martinelli and Mikhailo Mudryk now as your left wingers nailed on. Fabio Vieira, who can play everywhere, of course, is a little bit more advantaged, replacing Xhaka, replacing replacing Saka at the moment. He's got those abilities and talents. But Emil Smith-Rowe has played his best as a number 11, a false 9, and at times as a progressive midfielder. But I think his best part of the game has always been when he plays out on the left. So I want to see how Mikel is actually going to go about this, because it's quite difficult. But I mean, if you want to be a top manager, that's what you've got to deal with. Pep Guardiola, you can see what he does. He's got Julian Alvarez, then he's got Haaland. Then you have Riyad Mahrez. Then you've had Bernardo Silva, who's more like Fabio Vieira, plays everywhere, has a lot of quality. And my prediction is that it's going to reach a time when Fabio Vieira is undroppable. I can see those sparkling elements of quality coming off every game that he actually plays. And it's happened with Pep. He brought in Bernardo Silva first season, all right? I mean, you could use him for rotation, but in the second season, he became a problem. And now he's undroppable. So I feel like if Fabio Vieira becomes undroppable, does Saka drop? I'm not really sure. And what about in the summer? Do we even go and think about signing a right winger just to compete with Saka? There is a lot happening, but right at the moment, we have Emil Smith-Rowe back. Mikel on his North London derbies and the memories, he says, he says he says they are very, very emotional, very passionate, and an incredible feeling when you are on that pitch and look around and see the support, the tension, and the atmosphere around it. When you win, it doesn't get much better than that. And if there is more pressure on this North London derby than October's, he says that's the challenge that we have. We have to beat them at their own place. Yeah, there is more pressure. There is more pressure. Right now, you're looking at a team, a Spurs team that is actually struggling. So they will try to prove a point. But then you're also looking at the Arsenal side that wants to keep that point gap, that 5-point gap between us and Manchester City, unless Man United do the unthinkable. And I'll call it the unthinkable because I don't see Man United win that game. I'm sorry. I just don't see them win that game. But yeah, City are also not at their best at the moment. So maybe United get a draw, and we can reinstate that 7-point lead, maybe. On what he's expecting of the Tottenham out of Tottenham, it says, I don't know. Sometimes they approach games in different ways. Sometimes they are very, very aggressive from the beginning, and sometimes they allow you make the game, and they have a lot of tools to use to cause a lot of problems. Let's see how the game develops. We'll prepare for any occasion in the best way possible, and then it will be left for the players to do what they have to do on the pitch. On whether our reputation has improved since our last visit to Spurs, it says, I don't know. Obviously, the way we have performed and the results that we have actually that we have got confidence-wise puts us in a good position. But then it is something that you have to show in every single match. On whether he prepares the team differently for an away North London derby, it says we prepare for every game differently because every game brings different challenges and opportunities. In every game, teams are in different moments, and we cannot approach every game in the same way. We have a way of playing, but within that, we talk and discuss different things in relation to the opponent that we are actually facing. And lastly, the one we will take is on whether he can enjoy the drama of derby days. It says, in preparation, probably not, because we are focused in what we do. And we would just want to put attention to detail into that. Once you are there, you realize the moment, and it's, in my opinion, one of the best things to do. Actually, realize how lucky we are to be in the position that we are in right about now. So that's Mikel Arteta's press conference. I mean, he always talks about a couple of things in his press conferences, and that's why I do react to them, because they're not boring. They are kind of information based and all that. So I think it's not talked about the injury update, the general confirmed team news, and I'll give you that update in our preview, in my preview that will actually be dropping later today as well, because tomorrow I'll be dropping my predicted lineup, and then of course much more of the transfer content. So let me know in the comment section whether you would have loved Mykhailo Mudryk to play in this one. I mean, Chelsea have done the unthinkable. They brought in Joao Felix. Days, actually hours after him signing, he has started for them in the Fulham game and had a massive, massive impact. Yes, they didn't win, but he had a massive impact. So I would love to see the same. I don't know if Mykhailo is going to be a bench player, but then we're going to do a video about him, how Mykhailo is going to use him and how he fits into Arsenal. See you in the next one.